We will start now. See, in this class, what we are going to do is we will take up some important case studies from exam point of view, particularly inspired by current affairs or contemporary issues, you can say. Basically, in day-to-day administration, certain issues are very important. So, what I have done is I have selected a few case studies which are quite important from exam point of view. I mean, in two classes, this class and next class also, I will take up those case studies. About 5, 6 case studies we will be discussing in these two classes. The main objective of this class and next class will be uh, to acquaint the students with what kind of case studies come in the exam and how these case studies can be tackled. So now let us start that. See, in this class, I am going to take up 3 case studies. First case study which I am going to take up is basically related with artificial intelligence, uh, algorithm, welfare activities, data gaps, and accountability. And the theme of this case study, why I have written theme and topic is because the students will be, I mean, it will be easy for students to understand what is the what are the main themes of this case studies and what are the main topics included in this. So basically, algorithmic governance, welfare ethics, transparency, discretion versus rules, all these ethical issues and themes will come up for discussion in this case study. So this is case study number 1, which I have selected. This I told earlier also, these case studies are inspired by uh, I mean, contemporary issues in governance. So these are very important from exam point of view, particularly those students who are preparing for next year's exam. They will be able to understand. And one more thing I just want to tell you, the difficulty level of these case studies also I have put almost same which come in the actual exam. Length of these case studies also I have put in a similar manner, about 300 to 350 words, because this year we have seen the case studies were quite lengthy and it takes, I mean, at least 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes to read those case studies carefully, and then only you can understand the context and then start answering it. Now let us start with this case study. 1. State government launches Jan Suraksha portal. 2. An AI-driven beneficiary identification system for nutrition and cash transfer schemes. 6 months later, a joint report by civil society groups reveals that over 18,000 poor families across 3 tribal districts have been wrongly excluded because of biometric mismatches, lack of updated records, and poor connectivity. So these are the reasons for mismatch: biometric mismatches, lack of updated records, and poor connectivity. And about 18,000 tribal districts families are missed in that. Field officials have physically verified many families' eligibility but are unable to override the system due to strict zero manual intervention policy. Because these are, I mean, in certain schemes, these are the problems which are actually faced in the administration. So therefore, protests are being staged daily by affected groups alleging violation of right to food. The chief minister's office is pushing for 100% digital target. So this is again another issue before a national review discouraging deviations. The private vendor refuses to share algorithmic details, citing proprietary rights. The State Human Rights Commission issues a notice to district administration for depriving entitlements. As district magistrate, you face competing pressures. So this is very important. Humanitarian urgency is there, administrative rules needs to be followed, political directive needs to be followed, legal scrutiny is already there, court cases are there. A senior officer privately advises you to stay quiet to avoid conflict with higher authorities. So now this is the case study. Now the questions are: identify and analyze the major ethical dilemmas in this case? This first question. Second question, what immediate administrative and ethical steps would you take to address the exclusion without violating legal protocols? This second question. Third, how will you deal with the vendor's refusal to disclose the algorithm while ensuring accountability? And fourth, suggest long-term systemic reforms to reconcile technological efficiency with human oversight in welfare delivery. And all these four questions have to be answered in about 250 words. And this is 20 marks question. So now let us see what can be the best possible answer for all the four questions. Now, before we start actual answering, a little brief introduction of one line also may be many times useful if word limits permit. So this is the same thing. This case shows a clash between technological governance and ethical responsibility. So both are important. And as you know, in ethics, uh, the issue is not between right and wrong, but between right and right. So both options appear to be right. So technological governance and ethical responsibility. As district magistrate, I must balance citizens' rights, legal rules, and administrative accountability, even under pressure. So this is, I mean, the duty of any district magistrate or any senior officer. Now, ethical dilemmas. First question, what are the ethical dilemmas? If you see the first question, identify and analyze major ethical dilemmas in this case. So now let us see what are the major ethical dilemmas. So first is rules versus outcome. The rigid no manual override leads to exclusion, violating Article 21, right to life and food. So following the rules is also important. But then this is violating another constitutional provision, that is Article 21, right to life and food. Then second is utilitarian versus right-based ethics. Political focus on digital targets prioritizes efficiency over individual justice. Then third ethical issue, transparency versus secrecy. The vendor's refusal undermines natural justice and public accountability. Then another is obedience versus moral duty. Pressure to remain silent conflicts with content duty, integrity, and compassion. Another is Gandhian Antyodaya. Exclusion of the poorest contradicts the principle of prioritizing the last person. And now in this, you may be seeing a number of ethical theories have been named, thinkers have been named. So because references do upgrade the quality of answers, so accordingly it has been done. Now, second question is, what are the immediate steps to be taken? So immediate steps, first is launch a rapid field verification drive with local bodies. So this is first step. Second, use legal powers under National Food Security Act for temporary inclusion to avoid deprivation. So this is temporary inclusion. Next, communicate transparently with protesters to build trust. This is again important. Fourth, escalate the issue in writing to the state and cooperate with Human Rights Commission, ensuring accountability. Why escalating issues with state is required? Because here, if you see, you have included done only temporary inclusion. So now for permanent inclusion and for modifications in software, etc., the issue needs to be escalated to state level, because usually these kind of softwares are governed either by state governments or even many times by central governments also. So any changes, any modifications have to be done with their consent and under their supervision. So this is has. Now, third point is how you will deal with vendor secrecy, because he is now not willing to share the algorithmic details. So invoke contractual and legal clauses. So you go with what agreement has been signed with that fellow and why he is not allowing to demand algorithmic audits. If registered, refer to independent technical and legal bodies to ensure transparency. And you may also refer this issue also, because sometimes the agreements or contracts are signed with state government or central government. So usually at district level, vendors do refuse to share the software details and other things. So accordingly, you can escalate this issue to the state level also. Then what are long-term reforms which you will prescribe? Now, first is introduce human-in-loop grievance redressal. So this is again, I mean, very important because any software has to be supervised, or there has to be human-in-loop provision for the software, because particularly AI-based softwares, when show deficient results, are become very, very serious. So this is first suggestion. Second is mandate algorithmic transparency through audits. Third is periodically update data, provide offline options, because one of the reasons for their, I mean, these beneficiaries not covered is that data was not updated. So periodically updating data also needs to be done. Implement second ARC recommendations on blending e-governance with citizen-centric oversight. So this is again, we are quoting one important document as far as second ARC is concerned. So this also will upgrade the answer. Then suggest for empowering DMs legally for interim relief, because usually these kind of softwares are controlled at state level or central level. So in your suggestion, long-term suggestions, you can also suggest that district magistrate should be empowered legally for interim relief in such leftover cases. Now, what can be the conclusion? Technology should serve ethics, not override it. A balanced approach drawing from rights-based, utilitarian, and duty ethics, enriched by Gandhian values and institutional reforms, ensures welfare is both efficient and humane. So, see, technology ensures efficiency, but then human nature should not be left, totally on the technology thing. So, therefore, the efficiency and humanitarian issues both are important as far as these welfare schemes are concerned. Now we'll go to case study 2. Now this case study deals with deepfakes, electoral neutrality, and institutional trust. And as you know, nowadays there is a election season already going on. In a few states, elections are there, and then anyway, elections keep on happening in one state or the other. So these kind of electoral issues or electoral case studies are always live case studies as far as contemporary issues are concerned. Main themes which have been included in this case study include political ethics, technology regulation, neutrality, timely administrative action. So all these are main themes of this case study. Now let us go through the case study, and then we'll try to come up with the questions and answers. 2 weeks before state elections, a deepfake video of the leader of opposition making derogatory remarks about a minority community goes viral, triggering protest and sporadic violence. Preliminary forensic analysis indicates manipulation, but final authentication will take 4 to 5 days. As chief electoral officer, you must maintain neutrality and ensure free and fair elections. The ruling party informally urges you to delay clarification, claiming the video has shifted public sentiment. The opposition files a formal complaint demanding immediate public rebuttal and legal action against platforms. The Home Department advises routing all communication through ECI, which may cause delays. National media is questioning the Election Commission's silence, while minority groups demand immediate clarifications to prevent escalation. Social media companies say that they will act only on official certification. You face pressure from multiple directions. First is technological uncertainty, second is political interference, then media scrutiny, and community tensions, all under tight electoral timelines. And elections are declared already going on, so you cannot postpone any of these. Now, what are the questions involved in this? Again, identify the ethical conflicts and competing obligations in this scenario. This is first question. Second is, what immediate communication strategy should you adopt to uphold neutrality while preventing unrest? Third is, how will you balance forensic uncertainty, electoral impartiality, and public trust in your decision making? Fourth is, suggest institutional mechanisms to tackle deepfake during elections without undermining due process. Now, these are 4 questions. Now, let us see one by one how we'll be able to answer it. Again, a brief introduction line. This case shows a conflict between technological uncertainty, political pressure, and the ethical duty to ensure free and fair elections as mandated in Article 324 of Constitution. As CEO, I must act with neutrality, transparency, and timeliness, upholding public trust. Now, first question, what are the ethical issues or what are the ethical and legal issues involved, ethical conflicts and competing obligations involved in this case? Now, let us see. First is timeliness versus accuracy. Acting late fuels unrest, acting early risk errors. So, this is very, very important. Second is neutrality versus political pressure. Informal pressure from the ruling party conflicts with content duty and administrative impartiality. Third is procedure versus responsibility. ECI routing ensures legality but may delay public reassurance. Next is utilitarian versus deontological ethics, balancing public good with duty-bound neutrality. Next is right-based ethics, protecting minorities from hate and misinformation is very important. Then natural justice, ensuring fair communication to all stakeholders. So all these important ethical principles are involved in this case study. Now, second question, immediate communication strategy. What should be immediate communication strategy as far as this case study is concerned? First has to be done is issue a neutral interim statement confirming forensic analysis is ongoing, because as you know, in the case study it has been mentioned, forensic analysis will take about 4 or 5 days. So such kind of statement should be given that it's ongoing, and whatever statement you give, it should be neutral. It should not support one party or the other, or one political group or the other political group. Then second, urge people to avoid sharing unverified content, involve police and community leaders for peace. So this is again second step has to be taken. Third is clearly communicate expected verification timelines. This is again very important, because if you say that after some time or after a few days I will be able to declare, so that nobody will believe. So you have to find out what are the actual expected verification timelines, and that you have to announce in public. So that the trust will be there in your institution, and public will believe you whatever you are saying. Then avoid political framing, stick to facts, because this is again very important, because there is a pressure from ruling party, as has already been mentioned in the case study. So avoid political framing, stick to the facts only. This is also very, very important. Now, third question, how will you balance uncertainty, impartiality, and trust? So base all actions on evidence and procedure. So you should not compromise with facts or evidence and procedure. So not political pressure, because if you act in political pressure, you definitely will have to compromise with procedure and evidence, and subsequently you will be in trouble or you will be caught in any inquiry, or otherwise also ethically it's wrong. So base all your action on evidence and procedures, not on political pressure. Ensure transparency to maintain credibility and public trust. And third is communicate consistently, avoiding ambiguity. So this is again very, very important. In transparent manner, you have to communicate to public what are the actions you are going to take, what verification procedures you are following, and what other things are transpiring, so that people are already aware that what is happening, so that they may not believe the rumors. Then institutional mechanisms, what you are going to suggest. Now, this is first is create election tech cells for rapid deepfake checks. Now, this needs to be done immediately. Mandate flagging protocols for platforms, various social media platforms. Third is strengthen certain ECI coordination. Fourth, launch digital literacy campaigns for citizens, because they should also not believe each and every fake news, social media item or video, etc. They have to first verify, and then only when it's authentic they should believe. Then follow second ARC recommendations on media regulation during elections. So these are the suggestions you can give for strengthening for subsequent elections or subsequent mechanisms which can be taken. Now, conclusion, by applying duty ethics, utilitarian reasoning, rights protection, and natural justice alongside institutional preparedness, truth, neutrality, and trust can be safeguarded in electoral process. And this is very, very important as far as elections are concerned, because one has to be neutral, one has to be fair, one has to be transparent. So all these important ethical values needs to be preserved. Now, let us come to third case study. Now, this case study deals with hospital oxygen tragedy, political interference, and whistleblowers mechanism also. The main theme of these case studies are public health ethics, accountability, whistleblower protection, and administrative courage. So all these important ethical themes are covered in this case study. Now I will just read it out and then we'll discuss the questions and answers. During a sudden epidemic surge, 12 patients die overnight at the district hospital due to oxygen shortage. Families allege negligence, media calls it a man-made disaster, an internal memo shows the contractor had warned of shortages 2 weeks earlier. The CMO blames delayed state funds. The medical superintendent cites local logistic failures. Both accuse each other publicly. So this is the uh, uh, one health department official blames other, and publicly they are blaming. Now, health secretary at state level demands a quick accountability report within 48 hours. Usually that happens in the states. Local ruling party MLA who owns a private hospital pressures you, you are a district magistrate, to avoid politicizing the issue. That night, a junior nurse provides documents showing oxygen cylinders were diverted to MLA's private hospital through manipulated records. She fears retaliation if identified. Protests grow, opposition parties demand prosecutions, the contractor threatens to withdraw supplies. Now, this is a politically sensitive case, legally delicate, and ethically charged situation. Your actions will influence both immediate crisis response and long-term institutional trust. So, now this is a very, very real kind of situation, realistic situation which happens. Now, what a district magistrate should do in this situation? Now, let us see what are the questions have been framed. Identify the ethical issues and conflicting values involved in this case study. Second, how will you ensure a fair, evidence-based investigation while resisting political and media pressure? Third, how would you protect the whistleblower while using information effectively? Fourth, suggest long-term administrative and ethical reforms to prevent such public health failures. So these are four questions based on this case study. Now let us see how we can answer. Constitutional provisions or some statutory provisions, you have to use the legal provisions. Also, you have to tell statutory sections or articles, also constitutional articles also. So all, and sometimes Supreme Court cases also needs to be mentioned. So all these things are references will make your answer better. So now let us see what can be the answer for these four questions based on this case study. Now again, the introduction, brief introduction regarding the case study, if time and word limit permits, because this you have to answer in 250 words for 20 marks question. So now this case involves a grave public health failure, political interference, and whistleblower protection issues. As district magistrate, I must uphold Article 21, right to life, ensure accountability, and act with integrity and courage under pressure. So this is a brief introduction regarding the case study, if you can see. Now, what are the ethical issues involved in this case study? First is accountability versus political pressure. Duty to ensure justice despite MLA's influence, because MLA is already having a hospital, and because of perhaps his hospital only this problem has been created. So there is a accountability versus political pressure is very, very real ethical issue here. Then second is rule of law versus personal risk. Administrative courage you have to show, but then you have to also face the consequences subsequently. You may have to face the consequences. So this again important ethical issue. Next is duty versus outcomes. Content deontology, duty to act fairly versus political repercussions. Next is rights-based ethics. Citizens' right to life was violated due to negligence. Next is transparency versus institutional loyalty. Balancing truth-telling with systemic truths. Then Gandhian truth versus Antyodaya. Prioritizing the poorest victims with moral courage. And then finally, whistleblower ethics also. Protecting those who speak truth to power. And so you have to protect them. You have to see that the retaliation, they are not affected. Now, what is the second thing, which, second question was, how will you ensure fair evidence-based investigation while resisting political and media pressure? So, second question, how it can be answered? Form a time-bound multi-member inquiry, legal, administrative, health expert. So because in any inquiry, if a committee or if a multi-member team is there, usually the chances of fairness increase. So since you have to conduct a fair investigation. So here you have to have multi-member inquiry committee and give them a time-bound target. Within these many days, they have to complete the inquiry, or these many hours they have to complete the inquiry, depending on the sensitivity of the situation. Accordingly, they have to submit the report. Secure records, CCTV, and oxygen logs to prevent tampering. This is again very, very important, because all records have to be secured, all CCTV footage, all physical records have to be secured, so that subsequent tampering cannot be done. Report transparently to higher authorities and media with verified facts only, because rumors or assumptions you should not report to anybody. You have to report only verified facts which are supported by documents, which are supported by evidences. Then apply content duty ethics to remain impartial despite political pressure. Now, third, how will you protect, whistleblower protection? Use Whistleblower Protections Act to ensure confidentiality. Take statements in camera and provide security and administrative backing. So this is again very, very important, because if the nurse has come out to, state the truth, she should be protected, she should be given security, she should be given administrative backing, all those things should be done. What long-term reforms you are going to suggest as far as this kind of scenarios are concerned? First, digital tracking of oxygen supply with real-time dashboards as adopted post-COVID in many hospitals, in many places it has been done. Strengthen emergency health logistics, audits, and grievance redressal. Third, institutionalize whistleblower cells. And fourth, follow second ARC recommendations on crisis management and transparency. Now, if conclusion, by applying duty ethics, right-based reasoning, and Gandhian values, and transparent investigation, immediate justice can be delivered while building long-term trust in public health governance. Now, this basically completes the three case studies which I wanted to discuss, three contemporary case studies, important case studies I wanted to discuss today. In next class, again, I will be taking four case studies, and we'll try to understand how those can be tackled. Let me again repeat, these case studies are very real kind of real scenario case studies. The length of these case studies or the word limits are also just like actual exam. The number of questions also, and also basically how difficulty level also is of actual exam, which we have tried to put. I hope that these case studies are going to help a lot as far as the preparation of UPSC is concerned, particularly for next exam year. So this is what my understanding is. So thanks a lot.